Hi everyone, it's finally time. This is the video that everyone is waiting for. So, in this video, I'll go through all the puzzles from new releases and some of them from not so new releases that I think may show up at Words. I'll give them ratings depending on the difficulty. I will not be talking about which puzzle to choose. I think that decision needs to be left for everyone. But I think I can give you a good idea of what things in puzzles can be difficult, what to look out for, and after watching all of the entirety of this video, I think you'll be able to tell yourself if a puzzle is difficult or not. And also, most of the puzzles, at least this is my very humble opinion, would end up at Worlds in, what is it, like in few days. So watch it and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get moving. And so the first one is, I decided to start with the banger, right? I also need to clarify that my scale is from 1 to 10. And so 1 is the easiest possible puzzle, and 10 is the most difficult one. So I also decided to do two different scalings. First one is just for your individual rounds, and the second one is in case that particular puzzle show up at pairs preliminary rounds. So as you can see, Epic Journey already is quite high with the difficulty. I was actually considering putting it down by 1 point because I don't know if this puzzle is as difficult as the other one that has the 9 points. And also, spoiler, in this whole thing, I don't have any puzzles that have pure 10. And this is because I didn't include puzzles that I'm sure are too difficult to show up at Worlds. And mainly, we are talking about the elephant in the room. And this is the peacock puzzle. The peacock puzzle would have both 10s. And this is not included. So if you have your own scale, then I think we can now adjust. So peacock for me is a 10 in terms of difficulty. And I would say that Epic Journey is a little bit easier than the peacock. But why do I think so? So, and why the ratings differ from solos and pairs? So, for this puzzle, the most important thing is that you have this clear distinction between water and the rest. So for pairs, this is a bonus point from the maximum amount of points, because if a puzzle is dividable, even if it's difficult, then it has extra points. I mean, in my system, it has less points, but you get what I mean. And so about this puzzle, because for every puzzle, I want to give you a look into what this puzzle requires you to do and what to look for. So let's start with this one, if it's the first one. So normally with this puzzle, I wouldn't really go for the full edge for two reasons. First one is because everything outside of the water is weird and difficult to differentiate. And the second thing is that since the border in this particular image is actually only a prolongation of the image, that is very difficult, and it's kind of similar to like if we look at this section is very similar to this section and this section and this section. So trying to do the whole border, that would be difficult. This is one. And the second thing is that if you are trying to flip your pieces fast, it will be more difficult to find all the edge pieces inside, within all of those pieces that look so much alike, right? So this is difficult, but enough from the edge. With the water, you can go from different directions. In reality, this section is gray. This water is gray, so you can start with this. You can try to go for the diagonal coastline, but it's not that easy. If you can do it, and on that day you're like, okay, I can see how those pieces go together, go for it. It will help you a lot. But if not, try to go from outside. So this section in the top left corner is bluish, very light blue, and the lower section is gray. The middle section is very dark and has those very pronounced waves. And also you can see the shade of the sand a little bit. On the right side you can see that it's very yellow and very textured as well. And the rest of it you can kind of figure out by the gradient. So the water is not the problem, and we all know that. The problem is everything else. So in this puzzle, what works for me, and this is only what works for me, I try to start with this section. This very small section, which is like 1.5 piece wide. It has a very unique color, and probably if you stare at the pieces for a long time, you'll be able to see that they are kind of grayish compared to other pieces. Also, this section in the middle, if you can just very calmly find all of the pieces that have, I don't actually know what the stuff in the middle is. In my head it's sheep. It's not sheep, but like for me this is sheep. I decided it's sheep, and if I see those pieces I try to collect them. And since I know that I probably didn't find all of them because all of the pieces looks the same, then I just keep them together and I go into them when I don't have anything else to do. And once they're the majority of the sheeps collected already. The other thing that you could notice is that if you have pieces with very little texture, but they are bright, then those probably go near the coastline. If you see the bright green, but not blurry green like on the bottom side, then it's supposed to go there. If you see pieces that are in the same color as the other pieces on the right side, but they have this grainy and kind of brown and black dots inside of the green, then this is this whole section. You don't have to sort it all together, but while you're going with this puzzle, you'll be able to tell the difference. And the general tactic for this puzzle is always, no matter in which stage you are with the puzzle, always grab the brightest pieces. And if you keep to this rule, it will be not very easy, but much easier than if you would go and try to do the shape sort most of it. Now, this is not the way with this puzzle. You can actually try to go for the colors and to match the colors. Try to find the lines of the different hills. And those are not the hills. I think you know what I mean. Those different lines, different colors, and also all of those different hills have different textures as well. If you look very closely. And so this is the recipe that you need to follow, but what happens in the end? In the end, you are probably going to be left with those pieces because you realize that if you have a piece with like a very thin, bright line, those pieces go here. And you can try to figure out those lines, but if you cannot, and you're only left with those and also those very dark pieces that kind of, they really look black at the very end, you can just shape sort that. And shape sorting is going to help you a lot with this one, because the most unique shapes are either in this corner or in this corner. This is generally like in the piece cut of Ravensburger. So if it was in this section, I wouldn't go for the shape sort because the pieces are not that squiggly. But in those corners, they kind of are. I don't know how to describe it, but this is just from the experience that I realized that if I do shape sort, if it's either in this section or in this section, then it's easier for some reason. Yeah, so we started with the very hard puzzle, but now, as you saw, the next puzzle is kind of easy. And so for me, this puzzle is a 3 and a 2. Why is it 3 for individuals? One person said about this puzzle that it's very sortable, but it's very difficult. And this is very true, because if you look at the sections, like in the first few seconds, you can tell to yourself that, okay, I see green, I see blue, I see dark blue, I see white, I see pink, I see like purplish grayish, I see the boots, I see the light blue and the guy on the right with the hair, and you can see the faces and the writing and the background and everything. And okay, you can, but it's going to be difficult to figure out how the pieces connect, at least from my experience. So what I try to do is to actually go for the background, because I think in this puzzle it's much easier than in the Spy Family puzzle that I got at the Worlds last year, because the gradient is much more pronounced, and also you have the lines and everything, so we can kind of go not only from the gradient but also from lines. So doing the edge shouldn't be that big of a problem if you just go for the the gradient in the background, and that will help you to arrange the pre-assembled sections that you have. Also, I will recommend to go for the unique features. So faces, this is the first thing, and hair. Maybe not this hair in the middle of the like the protagonist guy, but the rest of it. The rest of it is kind of nice. What you can also try to do, you can go for the writing, but this is kind of strange, the writing. I don't really understand what's happening with this writing, but it's kind of difficult every time I do it. And what I can say as well is that for the top right corner guy, you can try to go for the pick and place with his clothes, trying to look at different details that he has, because he has pink, he has like in the middle of his clothing you have his hand and a card, you have this yellow fabric and the pants, and also the symbols from cards, and also the hair is very unique. So this is a very good section to pick and place. The green section is easy to just go by shapes, so don't really try to pick and place that. But also I always every time like finish with this green section, so do what you want. This guy is also very sortable, so you can do it by piece shapes. It's difficult to figure out those different shades, like the shadows on the t-shirt and the trousers, so try to go by shapes. This guy can be solved if you use the clues from the hair. That way it's easier. And with this guy, try to go for the biggest blocks of blue, and then try to work around the reds and then fill out the rest. And I think it's going to work out. The difficult section here are definitely the legs of the main guy, and also for some reason this section under this guy's arm. I don't know why. And also, why did I give 2 points for pairs? Is because it has 3 as a solo, and also it's very, very sortable and dividable. So that's make it easier for pairs. The electric straight. One more thing is that not all of the not all of the names of the puzzles are actually correct. So these are just the names that are in my head, and they kind of precisely describe what I see, or sometimes it's actually the name. You'll see those, but for the most part, it's just if the name is long or it's kind of weird, I just call it in my own way. You can see the picture. I think you understand. So this puzzle is very interesting. As you can see, it has both 7s in solos and pairs. And why is that? So this is a very difficult puzzle. It's very busy and it's very muddy when you look in real life at the pieces. The edge is difficult, but doable. The top half of the edge is actually not that bad. But if you did all of the easy sections, you are kind of left with very weird, kind of blue, kind of gray and black pieces that you don't really know where to put them. But what would be my advice in this puzzle? Try to always go for the same color and don't really think about what it is. Just try to find that color on the picture. So let's say that if you have some pieces that are kind of shining purple, those shining purple pieces are here above the red dog on the bottom. So you'll probably be able to find those pieces. Try to just place them there. It's very hard in this puzzle to find all of the pieces that are going to be built into one character. So try to go all over the place with this one. I mean, if you can sort all of them and, just go one by one, then good for you. I can't. The other thing is what I would recommend with what to start with. I would say that I always start with the edge, but it's because I always start with the edge, so it's kind of in my genes right now. And after the edge, I do this writing and I do the background. So I do this whole big window with those very bright blue pieces. Trying sometimes to go for this face. If I see more textured blue, I go either here on the right side or to the bottom left side with this big blue robot. You can also try to go at some point for the very light gray and white. Those are going to be those two on the left side in the middle and on the right side in the middle. And also on the bottom side we have this smiley one, but funny enough, I think this guy comes in 2 pieces that are building this green section, and it's very weird to figure out where it goes, but suddenly you are left with this hole and it's like, okay, that way. So try to remember him, and also try to remember this guy with sombrero and with like a taco. This is going to be important, and some of the pieces that are going to be left are going to be very dark, so you'll just probably go for the shapes, most probably. And always you can try to go for the background as well, so try to filter out all of those characters and try to look at the background. So we can see that here the background is more blue, then this is pink, this is purple, now this is yellow. You can always use that to your advantage. So this is 7 for both. Why for both? Because it's really not that sortable, and you'll equally be hurt by this puzzle. And now we have the infamous butterfly. So, the butterfly, as you can see, has a 9 on the difficulty scale for solo, by only 7 for pairs. And this is the same story as with the epic journey, but it doesn't have 8. And why is that? It's because the sections in this puzzle are more even, not only in difficulty but also in the amount of pieces. So basically, in the epic journey we had a little bit of water and then everything else. And so when that person is done with the water, that is so much easier than the other section, then you have to work together on the difficult section, and this is challenging for, all of the pairs. And in this puzzle, if you decide to have a clear distinction between a person that does the butterfly and the second person that does like the rest, then it's easier. You can swap with your pair and try to do the other thing for a little bit of time. And also, both sections are difficult. I wouldn't say they are as difficult as the epic journey one, so that's why it's 7. What I can recommend in this puzzle, and I think almost everyone does that, is try to start with this blue and orange section of the butterfly. Then with the middle of the butterfly, you will probably be able to find those antennas from the butterfly, or at least to find the pieces so that you know those go there and no to this flower, right? This is a very important distinction. Also remember that this section of the background is kind of brown, not all that black like on the bottom. And about the flowers, if you are the person that is going to start with the flowers, not with the butterfly, then try to go for the centers of the flowers. So try to go for the lightest, for the brightest sections of the flowers first, and then build around it. So if you have this figure out, it's probably like 4 pieces, this one and this one and this top section, then not only you have a starting point, but also those sections are kind of intertwined with the butterfly, so it's going to be easier for the person doing the butterfly, and also it will be easier for you to orientate the assembled sections that you have. So start with those, then build out the rest of the flowers by shapes, and then you are left with the green. But also the green is not actually as bad as you can think. If you start with this section is very brownish green. This section is very bright and yellow and kind of neon. This is also very bright. This is tangled together, so this is difficult. But those pieces, if you have most of it is like black and some of it is green, is probably going to go to this section or this section under the right wing, or if you have just the black pieces, they go under this left wing. And this is also helping you, because if you have this black section filled in, then you can go up and do this culmination of pieces. And this part of the butterfly is also, because what you will be able to see is that the butterfly in different spots has those little dots, right? Those were blue. But here, on both sides from his middle section, those dots are white and sharp, but those are more on the beige side, but still kind of sharp. But those are beige and brown and very blurry. So these are very difficult to figure out, not only because of the blurriness, but also because you have the yellow sections on top and also under it, so it's difficult to orientate the pieces and trying to figure out where they go. And also the other thing that is worth mentioning about the butterfly is if you have any pieces that have very, very sharp lines, like very sharp, then they go to those bottom sections of the butterfly. Those would be difficult to figure out by themselves. So if you find a piece that is very, very sharp, try to connect them to the blue section that you have. And if it doesn't connect, just leave it there. Just remember that it's supposed to go there. Don't mix it up with the other pieces again. Yeah. And a chameleon. Chameleon is, at least for me, in my head, a lot easier than the butterfly. For many reasons, actually. But before I start, the only thing that I want to tell everyone, do not start with the head. Don't do that. I don't know what it's about that head, but every time I collect the pieces for the head, I am spending so much time trying to figure out how they connect, and the purple going in all different directions, and also this kind of grayish blue that is on both sides of the purple, and this weird blue that is also repeated in two places. I cannot figure out how to connect this head. So what I would recommend is try to start, if you're doing the chameleon in a pair or alone, try to go for this yellow section on his scales. Oh wait, he doesn't have scales, he has skin. Never mind. On his skin, this yellow section. And then for the bright brown section, if you do that, you'll be able to go up by taking the pieces that are both brown and blue, and go down by taking the same pieces but with sharper image. And then if you go down, you can go to the arm, or you can go to the bottom of the head. And if you have that, try to go for the darker pieces of the chameleon, then figure out this top section. and then I would recommend to do the head once you have all of the sections done, so that you can fill in the head. I don't know, this is the only way for me, but maybe all of you can do the head. I just can't. So this is about the chameleon. The next thing is that the background in this puzzle is so much easier than the butterfly. You can go for the gradients. This is the most important fact, because you can go for the pinks here, then they go into darker pinks, then they kind of are trying to get together with this bright purple. This section, despite looking pretty similar to this one, it's more red. And also about the greenery. So if you have pieces that are black, but they have this very deep green, the only way you can assemble them is here. This is the only section that has those pieces. And I think there are like 10 of them. And this is a very important section to build out, because if you have this section with the leaves, you can go down and build out this section that is kind of empty, but at least you are started with something. You can go for the tail that enables you to go for the leaves here that have a different color from everything else. Also, those leaves, they are also different in color, so you can try to pick them out. If you see any pieces that are with the pink background and with bright leaves, they all go behind the chameleon. If you see any pieces that seem like they don't belong to this puzzle, they probably belong to this section. I don't know how to describe it. It's like every time I do this puzzle and I see pieces that don't belong to the image, they go here. And the last thing is those leaves. You can try to figure them out by the color, because probably they are going to be left after the other sections that I mentioned. And also the thing you need to be very aware of is this hand. I don't know how to describe it, but this hand is so tricky. Every time I try to do the hand, it doesn't work. I always try to position the pieces in weird ways that don't really go together, and I need to like do the leaves, and then I can figure out how to connect the hand together. I don't really know why, but if we now look closely, we can see that the texture of the hand is more pronounced on the bottom side, and on the top side it doesn't have that many black lines between the skin like bubbles that the chameleon have. Yeah. And also, why is it easier for pairs? Because it's sortable, very much sortable. And also, even if you are forced to shape sort, the things that you're going to shape sort are in so many different colors that after the shape sort is going to be so easy, because you are also able to go for the colors and not only the shapes. Yeah. And also the edge is not that bad. Yeah, the edge is kind of okay. And this may be a surprise to everyone, because I think this was the same ranking as the Hunter x Hunter, yeah. So, I did the whole video of this fish, so I'm not going to repeat myself. I think that this puzzle is very easy, with so many different sections that you can sort, as I described in the video. The edge is nice, the fish is okay, the fish is like 6 or 5 different sections at once. The gradient in the water is very pronounced. The white diagonal is very pronounced with many details that you can work off of. This orange coral is also very nice. Those sections in the pink coral are also very nice. And it gets 2 points for being very sortable. Yeah, just go to watch the video. And spikes. Yeah, so spikes is a very difficult puzzle for both inexperienced and experienced puzzlers if they don't do photography. So basically for the illustration people. And also I think I should have, or maybe no. Sometimes I'm not really sure how to, what points to give, but no, I think this is correct. So what's difficult about this puzzle? First, maybe what's easy? This guy. And that's it. What you can do with this puzzle is actually a lot of sorting. Sorting is key to this puzzle. So let's start with the sky. You can sort out the sky. You can sort out the middle mountain, which is red, and rocks. So that's great. If you see any pieces that are very, very dark and don't really have any texture, with like leaves or branches, they all go here. If you collect all of the pieces that have big cacti on them, they connect to the sky and to this non-textured section, and also here that connects to the sky. You can try to go for the yellow cacti, and you can probably easily figure out which ones are those two and which one is this big one here, because the texture is different and the size of the different branches of the cactus is different. This section beneath the cactus is orange, so if you find pieces with bright orange branches, they go here. If you collect the pieces with pink, they are creating those the top of the the cacti here, those three, and then if you collect all of the pieces with the very bright green and also the spikes, then this is the body of the cactuses, the cacti. Then if you go for pieces that have blue rocks, you can find them. I assure you can find the blue rocks. They go all here to the left bottom corner. And then what? Then if we have pieces that have a lot of grass and bushes, they are filling out everything that is left in between the cacti here. Then if you find the pieces that are orange but blurry, and you know that it's like the faraway grass, they all go here. You can try to go for either shapes or for pick and place with those little guys here. Both works, I assure you. And the rest of the pieces that are not very dark go here underneath the mountain. You can also try to figure it out by those small cacti here. And the pieces that are going to be left are this section underneath the main cacti, the main cactus, the yellow one here, and this section on the right. And some of the pieces from this left section that are above the blue rocks. And if you have pieces that have pronounced leaves, then this goes here, but the rest of the you just have to do by either shape sort or just by piece shapes. And the only thing that is also left, you kind of can look for the blue branches here that also can help, but I think you'll be able to see that. Yeah, for pairs, it's just trying to figure out this exact differentiation of the sections, and if you are able to do that, you can sort, so that's why it's not 8 for pairs, but 7. The world of Minecraft. I think it's more difficult for pairs. Why is that? Because this puzzle gets difficult in the very end. And it doesn't change if it's an individual solve or pair solve. So what you always do with this puzzle, you do the gradient sky, you do the gradient water, you can do the yellows on the left, you can do the yellows on the right, and you can see the ship, and you can try to work on the orange from the right side, and then you can try to do the orange hills by trying to pick and place those trees. This is very nice tip. I know it works. And the gray mountain with the purple blocks as well. Then you can try to fill out this pond, but then you are left with all the green, and if you fill out all of the buildings, it's just green bricks, and you won't be able to judge them really well, because you can kind of guess by looking that it's going to have gradients or something like that. No, you will not be able to see the gradient. I'm telling you right now. So the greens that are left are kind of by shape. And yeah, so if you're left with it as an individual, you're like in control of what's happening with the pieces. But if you're left with it as a pair, it's going to be more difficult towards the end, because you're going to work on the same section with the same pieces, and it's going to be a chaos if you didn't practice this kind of image. Excalibur, I don't know the full name. This puzzle is puzzling to me because it kind of looks easy in terms of there are so many different things, and also you look at the tree and it looks like it's going to have a very great gradient and it's going to be so fun, but then you're starting the tree and it's not going well and suddenly it's not going together, and the things that you see on the picture are not really that easy to differentiate if you look at the pieces, and also you are not really able to find the fur from the animals that well. I mean, the white stag you are able, but with the rest of them, it's kind of what like where are the fur pieces? They can kind of be mixed up with the branches. Like if you look at this now, it doesn't really make sense what I'm telling you, but trust me, those pieces from the wolf can be mistaken by the tree. That's how it worked for me both times. Uh, what I can recommend for this puzzle is trying to start with blue. So do the rock and then go for the purple rock, do the water, and try to do the rainbow, this yellow corner. Try to do the gradient. If you are good with this kind of imagery, then fine, go for it. I am not. Try to go for the white. So take everything white, either if it's the roses or if it's the white background or the stag or like anything. It will be very easy to try to figure out where it goes, especially if you go for pick and place. And yeah, the only thing that I would recommend for this puzzle is trying to go from the brightest pieces to the darkest ones. Because the darkest pieces, it's not like they are more difficult, but it's more difficult to figure out where in the image they go because they're kind of scattered all around. So you have dark pieces here, underneath the wolf, then on top in the left top corner, and on the right side, and it's difficult to tell where it belongs. So it's easier, definitely easier, to just use all of your easy pieces with the bright things on it. So this puzzle is very progressive, I would say. It requires progressive solving. And what I mean by the 6 points in pairs instead of 5 is that this puzzle looks very sortable, but for me it's not. You can try to sort out, but you are always going to be missing some pieces. And once you do the two obvious sections, which are the blue rock and potentially the gradient in the tree, then it's kind of, what am I supposed to do now? And many pairs are probably going to fight for the pieces because they can go in multiple places and everyone is going to think that their pieces go to their section. And I don't know. I don't like this puzzle that much. I mean, I like it, but I'm afraid of it. Now we have the first puzzle that is actually not from the 2025 catalog, and it's the Evening in Paris. I think this puzzle has a huge potential to show up at Worlds. It was never at Worlds, and I don't know, something about it just screams to me as I'm going to be there. But the same thing was with the Lighthouse puzzle from the same artist and in the same style from last year. That I thought that the Lighthouse is going to be at the competition and it wasn't, so I don't know. Maybe we are going only to get the new releases. If so, then let's just talk about it briefly. This puzzle is very sortable. It's easy because it has gradients, it has different features and details, and the sky. The sky is the most difficult part, but if you are a sky person, you will be able to do the sky, no problem. And the other person is just going to do the details and maybe the gradients in the road on the or the fruits or the tables or the buildings, whatever. Like there's so many things to walk around, to not walk around, to work with. Then I think this is definitely one of the easiest puzzles that can show up. And also disclaimer again, I don't think we are going to see postcards. I don't think that's possible. And also that would be kind of cringe if we do, because they were every single year and people worked on them so many times. It would be kind of yucky if they showed up. And I know that like I do postcards very fast and I would be also very fast on them and maybe do a record on it, but I kind of don't want them there. Now this puzzle, and this is interesting because it's I would say it's almost the same difficulty as the previous one, um, but it's more difficult for pairs. And why is that? And that's because I think that if you do the easy sections, which is the carpet, the sofa, and the wall, and some of the bigger details, then it kind of becomes this weird war zone for the two puzzlers to trying to figure out those different details that are like in the window section. I don't know. I would prepare to do it solo than in pairs. I'm almost sure of that it would be not that fun for pairs. But maybe I'm wrong. Um, and maybe some tips about this puzzle. As I said, try to do the carpet, try to do the sofa, the wall, and maybe the floor. The floor is also nice. Try to take everything blue. After you're maybe not after you're done with the sofa, because sometimes you can just not see all of the pieces from the sofa. Then if you have most of the sofa done, go for everything blue. Just pick and place it here with the vase, here with the pool, here with the ball. Like if you just go for the colors or for the specific things, like if you go for the trees, they are all going to go here. If you go for the animals, they are only here. If you see very, very detailed pieces, they go to the aquarium. And if you just take some pieces from the sky is also only here. So, yeah, there's nothing difficult in this puzzle. And now we have Hadlow ponies. I don't know if it's how you are supposed to pronounce it. It has 2 twos, and that's because I think that this puzzle is one of the best sortable puzzles that exist. But the sections aren't that easy. They could have been busier, like not busier, easier, but they are not that bad at the same time. So it's kind of in the middle, but it's also very sortable. So it's perfect for pairs. You have the water, you have the sky, you have the main tree near the edge, you have the main tree on the right, which is different color from the big tree above the yellow. Then you have the yellow. On the left you have the dark green, and you can use the butterflies in there. You have the different flowers in the lower left corner and on the right side. You have the water with ducks and dogs and plants, and like there are so many different things. The only thing that is hard in this puzzle is to try to figure out the legs of the horse, because the bottom section of the legs can resemble the tails. I mean, there's only one tail. Yeah, I didn't see that. Never mind. But it's very similar to the tail. You can try to go either for doing the horses and then going for the legs. I always go for the legs first, and then I fill in everything in like inside the horse. But it's up to you. I think it's very easy to do and very nice for pairs. If the sections were easier on themselves, I think that would be a 1 for pairs. And now the lakes, also from the Dutch nationals, just like the previous one. This puzzle is also very sortable, but the sections are even more difficult. But even though the puzzle is very sortable, it's less sortable than the previous one. And it has difficult sections. So, first difficult section is the road. It's all the same. So I every time try to have everything else done. So I have the flowers, I have the boats, and I have this grainy beach, and I have the car, and then I try to figure out the road. The next difficult section, I would say, is the sky. But you can try kind of to work by the gradient, going from the brightest to darkest. And then the last section, that is the most difficult one, are those hills. Those just go like line by line. If you go from the sky, just go line by line. It kind of has a gradient, textural gradient. If you look at it, like the top of the hills are more blurry and more pinkish. Then the farther down you go, they become more pronounced, and then you have those trees, and then you have the waterline, which you also can do. Especially if you work both from top and from the bottom, you'll be able to finish it up with just the shapes, and I think that would be okay. So because the sections are much more difficult than in the ponies, this gets 3s. And now we have the Dolomite. This was a tough one because I think this puzzle is easy, but it has sections that are difficult. So the sky is difficult because the clouds are irregular. But I also would say that the difficulty is similar to the previous one, but it's a different type of image. So this one is difficult because of its repetitiveness and lack of definition. When we look at the hills, it's kind of nothing there. But since the image is sharp, it's easier to put together than the painting. So I think the sections in themselves are harder, but because of the fact that this is photography and not a painting, that it's in that way easier, so it gets the same points for solos. And for pairs it gets 2 points, and I think you can already guess why, because it's very sortable. And you can go from 2 directions with this puzzle, which is perfect for pairs. It's not like the easiest puzzle in the world, so that's why it's not lower in points. Yeah. My advice would be to always go for, if you're starting from the bottom section, always try to go for the most green pieces. Even if you are already done with this green section and the houses, try to go for the greens, because you can do this island of green and those 3 trees. That would help you with trying to figure out the pieces from the fields, how to connect them. And here, once you have the bottom half done, you can try to go for this section with those dark trees, and then go for the mountains, and then you're left with the sky. And in sky, of course, you need to go for the darkest section first, then try to go for the dark clouds, and then try to figure out it by shape. And that's basically it. Sorry for the resolution, but precious porcelain pups. This is difficult. This puzzle is much more difficult than the puzzle that was at national competitions last year, which is very similar. So it gets both 5s because of the fact that we have very few sections that can be put together just by color. You need to pick and place almost all of it. It's very hard to sort colors. You cannot really do the edge, and in pairs it's not sortable. So if you are a pair of 2 very busy puzzlers, that's right up your alley. But if you're not, then it's kind of not a fun experience, I would say. But what is the recipe for this puzzle? I every time try to go for the most obvious sections at first, so I go for this pink here, for the purple with the gold. I try to go for the flowers, the white flowers on the left side. And they basically, I try to go for the biggest books of the same color. So I just grabbed all of the pinks, and then pinks go to this book, this one, and this one. Then I try to go for the blue ones. And this is like the way that I proceed. And then I try to go for the faces of the dogs and just to place them somewhere. Then I try to go for the colorful dogs. So this orange, this pink, and like this is, oh, I think this is all the colors, but never mind. This is also a very progressive puzzle and also pick and place, so that's why it's at 5. It's not at the same level as the difficult spikes or anything, so that's why it's 5. Sorry if you can hear the dog. It's unbehaving. And now I think we are halfway done. Now it's Succulent Love. Succulent Love gets 4 and 3. This puzzle is almost the best puzzle to sort of any, but the sections are not easy. And it's easier to do in pairs because of the sortability, but the sections are difficult, and also the red heart that you're going to be stuck with at the end, most probably, it's also very difficult. And the greens are not obvious to separate as well. It's very, at least for me, it was always difficult to get all of the pieces from this particular succulent. And once I had all of the pieces from this one, I could never understand how to connect them. So it's always by piece shapes, nothing else. Because I think the rest of it I can just kind of pick and place. But this one is impossible. It's like, no, please don't. And also remember, try if you do this puzzle, if you see any of the table is here or here. Maybe that will help you. Glorious Garden Center, and this is a fun puzzle, but it's also very difficult. And it's very difficult for pairs as well, because I would say this puzzle is falsely sortable. It looks sortable, but it's not. And if I didn't do this puzzle, I would say it's sortable. After doing that, I say it's not. It looks like all of the colors are at least a little bit separated, but they're honestly all over the place. The edge in this puzzle is kind of nice, but most of it is pick and place. You can try to go for the same colors, and that works, of course, but at some point you're going to be left with just like so many different holes of flowers that look the same. So that's why it's difficult, and it's more difficult for pairs because it's going to be very difficult to describe to the other person what you're actually looking for, because so many different things look so much alike in this puzzle that even if they want to sort something for you, they're probably going to do it wrong, or you are going to do it wrong for them, and it's going to cause chaos. But how to solve this puzzle? I don't know. I honestly don't know. When I did this puzzle, I was doing it all at once. I have my hand on my heart. This is how this puzzle came together. I was doing everything at once. I was just taking pieces and placing them purely pick and place most of the time. But what you can go for if you are blocks of colors person, you can try to finish the bottom section first, then try to go for the sky here that is picking out. You can try to go for this big purple flower and treat it as a block of color. You can try to go for the white pieces and treat it as a block of color. This one you cannot, but you can try to do it pick and place. This this section is also kind of a block of color. You can use the butterflies and this blue thingy. Yeah. So basically, if you see the pattern, is that I tell that this can be treated as a pick and place, but also as block of color. You can do what you want. I think there is no right solution for this puzzle. That's why it's at 6, because it's so strange. Yeah, now the crazy cats that came out this year. There are many of those cats puzzles, but this one is from 2025. Yeah, this puzzle might look like it's okay, because you can see that we have the mannequins and they're in different colors, and we have so many different frames, and painting in the middle, and the yellow poster and everything, and the cats look different, and we have the pink in the background in the middle, and we have the green furniture, but all of that is a lie. Everything in this puzzle looks the same. And also the floor, if you look at the floor looks exactly the same everywhere. And it's not like you can sort the floor. No, you won't be able to see the floor. What you can actually do, and this is what I agree with, is to do the middle, like this turquoise poster in the big frame, and also do the green furniture, and try to go from that, and maybe the two, the most left and the most right mannequins, and then you just have to go pick and place, because there's no hope left. And also with pairs, that would be a nightmare, because you have literally 2 things to do, and then it's chaos. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get that in pairs. No, I wouldn't. In the epic journey, the first puzzle that we talked about, at least we have some separation, and then we could have a tactic to go off of. But here you're just like going by what you're seeing now, like this piece goes there, okay, and now give me another one. I still don't know where it goes. And it's all over the place, and no, I wouldn't want to have this puzzle in pairs. Yes, Inside Out. And the Inside Out, I don't think it needs any explanation. It's a puzzle that almost everyone gets their PB on, and it's one of the best sortable puzzles in the world. So it's also one for pairs. I was kind of debating if I should just give those puzzles 0 points to emphasize how easy it is, but I think you get the point. Because I think it's easier from the Evening in Paris, but the scale is the scale, right? Now we have the 2 new puzzles from the Flora collection, and this one is the harder one, at least in my understanding. So this puzzle, as you can see, is a photography, not even enhanced photography, so that's difficult. The only good thing about this puzzle is that it has sections that you can pick out and try to do. But the other thing is that those sections are not that easy. I mean, the small ones like the mug and the small vase, they are easy, maybe the bread also, but the rest of it is like all over the place. The chair is big. Like, if you look at the chair, this chair is potentially 20 pieces. And what else? The background, I don't think I have to mention the background. What I can recommend is doing the bouquet pick and place. But I know it's crazy for some people to hear that. I would just do it pick and place. Because we can see the white flowers in 2 places. We can see those things that are in 4 different places and on 4 different backgrounds, so it should be easy. I would leave the the purple flowers for last in the bouquet, but maybe if we just look at the outline of the bouquet, then we can just fill it in. Maybe. I think it wouldn't be that bad. The worst thing, and I think everyone agrees, is the background. The background is nasty. But again, this puzzle is very sortable. So it not even gets 7 points, but it gets 6. Because again, it's sortable and it's on the same level. So it's the same situation like with the butterfly, right? In butterfly it had 9 and 7 because it was sortable, but also the difficulty of the sections were similar, and this is the same case. If we have one person working on the background and the other person working on everything else, I mean, they should be done at the same time, and you wouldn't, be distraction for them. So the second puzzle is this one, and this is the easier one in my head, and this has more sections that can be sorted out. The background is easier because it kind of have a gradient, and also on the bottom side you can go from the fence and from the shadows, and it should be okay. The table has a textural gradient, the scissors are okay, the vase is okay, the blue section in the right down corner is okay. The flowers are kind of messy but doable, you can sort them out, and they are different in so many different places. Like those flowers are different from the middle ones, and then those are different. This one is unique. Those flowers have those yellow middles. These are purely white, and those are more peachy with the yellow middles, and then we have those things that are going out of it, and then we have leaves. We can work on so many different things with this puzzle. I think it's okay, and it's just slightly easier, so it gets -1 point on solos and pairs. And this puzzle, I think I have to mention that both of the flower puzzles I have never done, and this one too, and all of the puzzles that are going to be shown from this point on I haven't done, so this is just my speculation on what I am expecting the puzzle to be. Going to the Moonlight mushrooms that are most probably going to appear at Worlds. This puzzle looks very difficult, and knowing that Ravensburger puzzles are darker in real life with the pieces than on the image, it can only go downhill. The edge is atrocious. There are very little unique colors in this puzzle. Everything is very similar to each other. The textures are also very similar. We have orange leaves on the bottom. We have the red, green, and blue mushrooms on the right. We have some pink leaves. We have the trees that are, whitish, but those are difficult. We have one mushroom that is kind of shining from underneath, but then look at the corners. And also we have the white dots everywhere, so it's not going to be that much of a help to trying to figure out how it works. Yeah, that puzzle it's nasty. I don't know. But the other thing with pairs is that probably in pairs it would be easier to describe what you're doing and what you're looking for, and also it's vertical, so you don't have to do it sideways if you're this kind of pair that does puzzles sideways. Yeah, but it's also very difficult, and I'm again, this is speculation, so it gets 7 from me. Now we have the Gourmet puzzle, and this is of course sortable but difficult. and it's not going to be any difference if you do it alone or with someone else. So it gets 2/4, and yeah. I don't know what to tell you. This puzzle is. I have never done it, so it looks very difficult, but maybe it's not. I would probably go for the backgrounds first and then try to go for the uh, figures. Yeah, I think that would be the right thing to do. And also, this puzzle is awfully similar to the floral reflections, so we know how that puzzle works, and this only has 4 sections, so it's going to 125 pieces. I don't know. We will have to see. If you did this puzzle, please tell me in the comments how it was. Was it difficult? Was it more difficult than the floral reflections? Tell me everything you know. And this puzzle was a surprise for me because I have never seen anyone do this one, but it's going to be released like right now, I think. And this is very interesting. This is a photography, as we can see, and it looks difficult. But it's difficult not because the sections are difficult, but because the picture itself is difficult. The decision making should be difficult. What to grab next should be difficult. To differentiate sections between each other should be difficult. To have all of the buildings together and trying to figure out where they go should be difficult. The water is in 3 or 4 different sections. The sky seems to have a gradient, but then the top half of the gradient is kind of non-existent, so that's not good. In pairs, it's going to be sortable, dividable, but it's still going to be very difficult nonetheless, so it gets both 6 for me. This one was solved by many people, especially in the Scandinavia, and I have to say that I would like solve it horizontally, not vertically. But what I know is that the middle section is very difficult. If you just do the water or the sand, it's okay, but then you are stuck with the waves and you have to just go by shapes. What you can try to work with the waves, try to just take out this section of the waves and maybe try to go from the gradient from the water, so the more green the pieces are, they're going to the right, but then you're left with just the white. So I think I just would have shape sorted and it wouldn't be that bad. The rest of it is kind of easy and it all connects to the edge brilliantly, so I think it's a 3, solidly a 3. And in pairs, I wanted to give it 2, but no, because the section that is going to be left to the end is going to be the same for both puzzlers, and that makes it difficult for pairs, so that's why I got 3. And the last puzzle on my list is this one, and I will not attempt to pronounce the name of the puzzle, but it's very intriguing. I think this puzzle is brilliant. I love it. Even though it's vertical, I love this puzzle. It is very sortable. The sections are small enough that you can do many things with it. And the only hard part is the middle section. I would say even the flowers are okay because you can just go from the shapes and that should be alright. Yeah, that puzzle looks really nice. It even has a sky that I could do, which is rare. Yeah, I think for solo it's a 4, but for pairs, since it's so easy to divide and to sort, it's a 2. Solid 2. And I think the times for this would be at like 23, 22 range. Yeah, I think that would be possible for some of the best pairs to have. Is it really the... yeah, that was the last one. Let's go to the very beginning, because there are two things that I want to mention, or maybe one. So one thing I want to say is that while trying to figure out which puzzle is easier for you or easier for your pair, try not to think about like optimizing. What you need to really think about is which puzzle I am for sure going to be able to do faster. So I know it doesn't really make sense what I just said, but imagine the scenario that you are at a competition and you're opening the bag and you see two puzzles. One of them is busy and one of them is like gradients or an inside out or something like that. Then, if you are a puzzler that doesn't really like blocks of colors and gradients, but really shines at busy puzzles, should you choose the busy puzzle? You always need to think, if, even though I am really good with busy puzzles, does it mean that I am just good with busy puzzles in a sense that my time compared to other people is better? Or does it mean that you are so good at busy puzzles that you are going to do them faster than the easy puzzles for other people? This is the one thing that I want to leave here for everyone to think about. Because, you know, judging if you think you are going to do well on this or on that is okay, but what you really need to think about is, if I have a preference, should I lean into the preference or should I just go into code calculation and choose a puzzle that you are maybe not going to enjoy, but that is for sure going to be faster, despite it not being your type? So a good example would be if I got what would I need to get? Let's say I would get this puzzle, right? I know I can do this puzzle really fast because I'm really good with busy puzzles. But if I got a puzzle like this, or the evening in Paris, I would go for this puzzle, even though it's not my type, because I know it's easier. And even though I would smash so many different people that are around my level with like the busy puzzle, and you can always feel like that way because you always need to compare to people on your level. If you think that on this kind of puzzle you would be so much better than other people on average that are on your level, you just have to abandon this thinking. You just have to think purely what is going to be faster for me right now, even though I prefer one or another. Yeah, I think that was the thing that I wanted to say. So think about it, please, and tell me in the comments or on Instagram or in person in Spain how it went. What did you come up with? Yeah, and one note is that this is the last video that is going to be released before Worlds. After Worlds, I will be on a very long break from speed puzzling, posting and from many things. So I really hope that if you are going to Spain, that you will come up to me, and please everyone, just come up to me, say hi. Let's talk about puzzles. Let's do fun stuff. Let's talk at Dome, under the tents, seeing different categories, seeing me seeing you, so many different things. Just let's make it a celebration. Let's make it a good event, and I can't wait to see you. And I hope I see you soon. I am leaving next morning, so I really hope that you will have fun, that I will have fun, that we all have fun, and that the memories will be great, and that we won't need to think about if we chose a good or a bad puzzle. I hope this video finds you well and that it's of help to everyone. And yeah, tell me how it goes. And see you in Spain.